welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Megha Sharma. The CBSE on-screen marking controversy continues to deepen, with fresh questions now being raised not just about the technical glitches but also about the process through which the digital evaluation system was awarded and implemented. While the centre has strongly backed the OSM model, concerns over the answer sheet mix-ups, scanning errors and portal glitches have prompted a wider review, with the IIT experts set to examine both the technology and tendering process. Adding a new dimension to the controversy is a blog by a class 12 student, Sarthak Siddhant, who claims that changes made across successive CBSE tenders may have in fact helped co-empt EduTech eventually secure the contract. The allegations center around the revisions to eligibility, technical and security requirements between different rounds of bidding. CBSE, however, has maintained that the procurement process followed all prescribed rules and that the contract was awarded transparently. At the same time, questions continue to be asked about COEM's past, its earlier identity as Global Arena Technologies, and its alleged links to the 2019 Telangana examination controversy. The company has denied any wrongdoing and said that previous allegations were addressed through legal processes. Let's open up this conversation. I'm being joined by Sarthak Siddhant. Sarthak, thank you very much for joining me. And my first question to you: what brought you to this conclusion that the contract that was finally handed over to this particular company for the on-screen marking system by CBSE was deliberately tweaked and revived?
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Sarthak Siddhant. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I would like to reiterate what my claim is. My claim is that CBSE rewrote their rules to favor co-empt EduTech. I'll tell you how they did it. There were 3 tenders that were issued. The first tender was issued on 4th February 2025. The second tender was issued on 2nd May 2025, and the third tender was issued on 28 August 2025. The first tender was cancelled. It was wiped out from the GEM portal, and it was deleted from the GEM portal. I stayed all 576 tenders, but I could not find the 4th February one. So what I'll be talking about is the second tender and the third tender. The second tender I'll be referring to as the old RFP, and the third tender I'll be referring to as the new RFP. In the second tender, 4 bidders submitted their bids, and all 4 were disqualified. They could not follow the criteria. One of the 4 bidders was COEMT EduTech, and TCS was also involved. And in the third bid, on 28 August 2025, COEMT EduTech won that bid. TCS also qualified the technical round, but TCS could not win the bid. Now, what I wanted to say, that I have found some clauses in after comparing both the RFP. RFP is actually a request for proposal, since CBSE is a government. Since CBSE is a government organization, it publishes public tenders and invites bidders through a request for proposal. A request for proposal is a technical document which has lots of technicalities and scoring matrices, a lot of things that help the bidder understand what the project is about. So this project was about OSM evaluation system. 3 tenders were made until the vendor was finalized. The vendor happened to be COEMT EduTech. Now I'd like to say what the clauses were, some of the very interesting clauses, and I'd like to go through them one by one. The first clause was that in the first RFP, in the earlier RFP, there was a clause of poor performance. There were 3 times it was mentioned, poor performance, a record of poor performance. That if the service provider had poor performance in the past, they would be disqualified. But in the new RFP, this term is totally deleted. This is totally wiped out. So the service provider could be, so the board, the Central Board of Secondary Education, somehow likes service providers that have a record of poor performance. Why did they wipe out this term? This is my first question. Because COEMT EduTech has a record of poor performance. In the Telangana State Board examinations, 23 students killed themselves because of discrepancies that COEMT had in the system. COEMT software had in Telangana State Board exams. The second word I found was this does not necessarily relate to COEMT EduTech, But the second clause I found was that in the earlier RFP, there was a blacklisted earlier term. And in the new RFP, it was changed to blacklisted currently term. I wonder why it was changed. Why did the board suddenly think 3 months later that they wanted to allow a service provider that was blacklisted earlier? This is my question. The third question is about changing the CMI level from 5 to 3. The fourth, there are many points that I have mentioned in the blog.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
are
Okay. But I do want to, now, having made this claim, I understand that you have been able to get access to the tender requirements, the technical requirements that were floated when tenders were invited from these companies, and they applied, placed their bids, and finally a decision was made by the CBSE to pick a company of the bidders that had decided to contest for this particular tender. What is it that you would want the Ministry of Education and the CBSE in moving forward and reviewing this entire procurement process, which you at this point of time feel was tweaked and perhaps there may be discrepancies that you think would come to fore, and there must be some malpractices, as you claim, that may have been brought about in handing over this tender and giving this particular tender to one company over the other?
Sure, ma'am. First of all, I would like the ministry to, I have raised 15 discrepancies in my blog. I have raised 15 discrepancies in my blog, and I want, I would request the ministry to at least answer some of them, at least explain why would they make such a change, such a deliberate change in the RFPs? Why would they change the tenders rule book? This is the first question. This is the first request from me to the ministry. The second request is making this process more transparent. I could not fetch all these documents and all these the technical evaluation summary, the technical marks allotment summary from the government websites like e-procurement portal. I want CBSE and the government and the ministries to at least be a little transparent and still provide, the documents that help me at least investigate this.
Okay, all right. I also want to know from you, what were the problems that you faced when you got your answer paper and it was evaluated? What were the kind of discrepancies? Was there any mismatch? Were there any, hundreds and thousands of students reported that, their answer sheets were blurry, they were not marked correctly on their answers. So what kind of discrepancies did you face and your friends face?
My friends did get their answer sheets very blurry, in a very blurry format. The on-screen marking was done in a very blurry format. I have some issues with where marks were not awarded. I would put that in my revaluation portal. But my point is not really about revaluation and whatever's happening with the OSM portal. The OSM portal was hacked. And what my point is, the awarding of contract is a little bit, suspicious and points into a very interesting pattern.
Yes, that's noted. Yes. And but in terms of the correctives that are being made by the authorities, what kind of help and what kind of support at this point in time are you receiving from the CBSE, from the educational authorities in wake of these discrepancies and mismatches that you have raised?
Ma'am, the CBSE or the ministry or any authorities have not contacted me yet. I would like to contact them. They could contact me anywhere. They can find me anywhere. I have not really gotten any messages from the ministry or the CBSE.
Okay, and what about your teachers, your principals, the faculty? Are they being supportive? How are they helping you out in figuring out this massive problem? And also it becomes an emotional turmoil because class 12 examinations are extremely important. They are allowing you to decide the course of your future in terms of the subjects that you want to study, colleges that you want to enter into.
Ma'am, it has been a while since I have left my school, at least 5 months. So I'm not in contact with my principals or faculties.
Okay, all right, stay on with me. Let me also get in other panelists into the conversation. I have with me Dr. Saurabh Malhotra. He is a principal of a school. Dr. Malhotra, let's hear it from you with regards to this unfortunate incident, and an alarming one at that has taken place. There are questions that are being raised by Sarthak Siddhant over here. He claims to have found these massive discrepancies, tweaks and alterations that have allegedly been made by the CBSE in awarding this particular contract to a company that has dubious precedents that have been set in 2019 during the Telangana state examinations that had taken place. What is it that you would want from the government, from CBSE and from competent authorities to act in this matter?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, my co-panelist. And Sarthak, I understand your points. And to be very honest, instead of commenting on the allegations which Sarthak is putting, I would personally like to speak as a educator, as a principal, that yes, he raised a point of transparency. Ma'am, on the face of it, Sarthak, even you would appreciate that coming out with OSM kind of technology in a country like India, nobody ever thought about it. Yes, there may be a few teething problems, which I am not the right person to comment on, but uh, terming anything as dubious, terming anything as untransparent, I don't think that it will be really correct for me to say that there is some background check which was not done, because so far as I
On the face of it,
understand
even if we do not accept the claims, the pointers that have been raised by Sarthak, but just on the face of it, the fact that there are millions of students who take the CBSE examinations on a yearly basis. Their fate is decided on the basis of the CBSE exams or the state board exams, or for that matter NEET. And should the educational authorities not be doubly, triply confident of the fact that the evaluation system that you have put in place is going to be % right? At this point of time, are you at this point of time claiming that these 2.5 million students who took the exams, and their fate can be jeopardized simply because of the quote unquote teething problems? And these teething problems can happen if there are 1, 2, 10, 20, 50 students who have faced this problem. When there are hundreds and thousands of them who have come out and said that there is a problem, that is no longer a teething problem. That is actually a problem that has germinated from the very functionality point of it as well.
Point whichever you have raised or which Sarthak has raised, I'm not mentioning that the CBSE or any other authority is not taking actions against all those things. I believe everyone would appreciate the promptness with which all the authorities are coming up with the if the server is down, they are coming up with every next possible thing. Apart from that, even you would appreciate things are being channelized on a real time basis. And I am not trying to defend anybody, or I am not trying to put to malign anybody. The fact of the matter is, whenever a system is introduced, there may be some issues, and I am not denying there are not issues. Yes, there may be a situation where bloody sheets are there. There may be some sort of mismatch, but I am very sure that things are being very much clearly
It's also
processed.
interesting because there have been reports making the exact same claims, saying that teachers, faculty, principals of schools were reportedly asked to defend the system online by CBSE. So there has been, so there are reports. I'm not corroborating it. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that there have been reports that have been put out saying that CBSE persuaded teachers, faculty, principals to build a narrative, build a positive narrative around this on-screen marking system, this evaluation system. Let me also get in Dr. Jyoti Gupta. She's an educationist as well. Dr. Gupta, you know, when you talk about a technical glitch, is it right to, you know, have these technical glitches in a very sensitive environment, such as evaluation of students' answer sheets and class 12? And I have to mention NEET, with the fact that, you know, this has happened just last month, and this has continued to happen, paper leaks, and this is not the first time around, and you see yet another disaster taking place where this digital evaluation system could not be rolled out in an efficient manner, which caused so much grief and inconvenience to students, not a handful of them, not a dozen of them, not 100 of them, but hundreds and thousands of them.
I would first of all take your question on NEET. Whenever there are leaks of the papers, it's extremely painful, not just for the students or the families who've taken the exams, but I think it is a national problem. All of us who are associated with these children, with these families, we all feel bad about it, and even the authorities are doing now their best to ensure that the children can give the examination in absolutely an environment where it's above board and no such leaks are going to happen. And every time there should be a preemptive measure, and everything should be taken into consideration before administering the exam. So it has been very unfortunate, and it has happened multiple times, not just in 24, 26, but even before that. So we've seen a lot of it in our country. We should put a stop at this, and the recommendations of the committee that had come earlier should be followed, and every step should be taken to ensure that these children are not put to any kind of inconvenience there. Now, coming to the on-screen marking system, I would say that there could be no better system than the on-screen marking system, and we have to move forward because we are living in a digital age. Having said that, let me assure you that the papers were not checked by the computers. There was no AI involved in it. It is people like us. See, CBSE does not have people who check the papers in CBSE. It is the schools, it is the principals, it is the teachers, all the PGT teachers who are involved in the corrections of these papers. Proper training was done of 2 days for all the evaluators, and even when they came to correct the papers.
But why don't you think this could have instead been rolled out in class 9, class 8, class 7, class 6, basically during the exams that happen preceding class 10 and class 12, instead of actually rolling it out when you have those very important, very consequential examinations that students take, and to iron out all the problems and all these loopholes and all these technical issues, and therefore come up with a foolproof system, especially when these are these very crucial years, very crucial examinations that students take.
2014, the first OSM was done. 2015 and 2016, 30 lakh copies were checked at that time. This is not the first time that it is happening.
So then don't you think it's highly unfortunate that we've still not been able to actually successfully roll out a plan?
You need to understand.
No, I'm just asking you questions. I mean, how much more grace would the education system be given to ensure that the technical glitches and other such problems are completely ironed out, and students do not have to bear the burden?
Asking questions, if you don't want me to respond, then I will not respond.
Please
If
go
it's
ahead.
a
Please go ahead.
question that you are asking,
See,
then you have to listen to
I'm
my
as
answer.
curious as anybody
So if
in
you are
understanding
curious
the very unsettling situation that has emerged in the last few days.
let me tell you that every year such discrepancies are there. Look at the mammoth task of 18 lakhs students giving the exam. This is only 12. Then we have a similar number and more in 10th. And CBSE has been conducting the examinations. Every year they transport the papers, which they did not have to this time. They've scanned the papers. Every year there are discrepancies where the children get the marks increased after the re-evaluation. There is a process, and that process is in place only because we know that as evaluators, the teachers can commit the human errors. They can skip a question or they can mark it wrong. So if there is a human error, there always has to be a chance to improve that. So this year the problem has been amplified because somewhere down the line, this is, that OSM has created the problem. Computers have checked the questions. AI has done it. We are scrolling the pages. So all these myths were there. But let me tell you, if there are hundreds of thousands of children that you are saying, it is not as much as a problem. In my school, if I say, and even Dr. Saurabh Malhotra can say, that in our schools, if we say there are children who've applied for the revaluation, they do it every year.
Yes.
And their
Okay.
marks are also
All right.
increasing. But not even a single blurred copy.
I don't know. It's been a really long time since it's been a really long time since I went to school. But I remember even in class 10 and class 12, yes, if there was a discrepancy, if a student felt that he or she was not evaluated correctly for a particular answer that they had written in their examination, in their answer sheet, they definitely had the right to get it re-evaluated, and the percentage of the number of students who actually went about raising these issues would have been less than 1%, less than 1%. So I don't think we can even make a comparison of the number of students who have had to raise this issue this time around because of the usage of the digital evaluation system versus the traditional way of evaluating examination answer sheets.
There are discrepancies.
Look at the
This is not new.
It's okay.
It is not new, and you know what, Jyoti ma'am, just a
Let
second.
me
If you look at the magnitude of 98 lakh copies checked, it's nearly 1 CR copies. Look at the magnitude, and most importantly, the question which you raised to me, that CBSE is preempting some sort of positive feedback from principal. I'm so sorry. CBSE has never been doing it. We as principals have our own integrity, and whatever we are speaking is in our own capacity as principals. We
I'm
have been
glad,
into
Dr. Saurabh Malhotra, that you have sort of alleviated any of those concerns or reports that have been floating around at this point of time on media platforms. But okay, I'm going to get Rahil Sheikh. I'm going to get Rahil Sheikh into the conversation as well. Rahil, I do want to understand from you. He's the CEO of NEETprep.com. Could you tell me what NEETprep does, and the very difficult process that students go through? It's hours and days and weeks and months and years of preparation that goes, after which a student writes the exam, and the kind of stress they go through during the entire period of the examination, and then to come to know that either the examination sheet has been leaked, or the marks that they have received were actually not the actual result that they deserved, but it was more so because of a technical error that has not just been an exception but a rule, because large percentage of the students have been facing the same issue.
Thanks for bringing me in. And very quickly, at NEETprep, we help students practice questions and write tests online. So I work in the education technology industry, and I've been working in education for close to 11 years now. First of all, I'd like to give kudos to Sarthak, Nisarg, and a few other kids who have been able to do very deep investigations on their own. These are class 12 students, and from what Sarthak has been saying here, he has been able to investigate more than 100 tenders on his own. How
Wow.
is he doing that? He's probably doing using AI, and Sarthak can probably correct me if I'm wrong. But first of all, kudos to the young generation. They are leveraging technology in the way it should be leveraged. Having said that, we are not ready for the changes that are coming. The world is changing very, very rapidly with how AI is making a lot of our systems extremely insecure. It has literally become child's play hacking into CBSE's main servers. There's another kid who's also in class 12th
Yeah.
on Twitter who's claiming that he has been able to get into the servers of CBSE, and that's what Sarthak has been saying as well. So, how are they doing it? They're doing it using AI. That's my sense, unless these guys are whiz kids and they are super geniuses. But my point is that even young kids, literally children, are able to hack into our systems because of AI, and we are not prepared. When I was a kid, nearly 2 decades ago, when I wrote the class 12th board exam, there was a movie that came out which was called Rang De Basanti, and one of the lines that stuck with me was, and it was an iconic movie for my generation. That कोई भी देश perfect नहीं होता, उसको perfect बनाना पड़ता है, or something of that sort. Unfortunately, we have to be willing to accept that there can be mistakes. Until we accept that there can be mistakes, there can be no fixing. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because Nisarg is today a criminal because he has been able he get into the CBSE's server, and he said that he responsibly disclosed what the issues were to CBSE, and they were not fixed for 3 months, and that's when he went public. So I think he has been very responsible. However, no actions were taken. Today, this is being done by Nisarg. I don't know when the Pakistani kids or Chinese kids will start hacking into our systems. They're probably already trying to get access into our systems. They're already trying to get access to sensitive data. And we have to be aware. We are a country which is extremely okay with technology. We are one of the few people who are super into AI. There is a lot of AI backlash across the world. But in India, everybody is like, yeah, this is the new reality and we have to accept it. Still,
Okay.
we are not able to make these changes to our systems, which are at such crucial levels. CBSE, which touches the lives of so many people, it has touched the lives of probably all of us who are sitting here. It touches the lives of so many people. Even at such high stakes exams, we are not able to recognize that the world is changing rapidly and we need to adopt. For somebody who works in technology, this is a paradigm shift. This I don't want to be like Cassandra, who is giving prophecies which are completely ignored. But the world is changing. The world of cybersecurity is changing, and we are not ready. We need to really pull up our socks and make significant changes to our cybersecurity systems, our tech systems.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I think that's a very valid point. And Bhavan Tugal, my next question to you about are we, do we distance ourselves from the new technology that is on the anvil? And in that, are we going to stop progressing or not progress as fast as the rest of the world? And if we, adopt artificial intelligence, how should we ensure that our systems are secure?
First and foremost, we are already in the center of the beginning of the intelligence age. Artificial intelligence is now a central force of our lives. Therefore, to say that quit AI, go to the Himalayas and take sannyas is not something that I'm advocating. I'm suggesting people need to take a more nuanced, balanced approach pertaining to use of AI. Users need to understand that AI is not human. So trying to grant human characteristics to artificial intelligence itself is a wrong proposition to get started with. More and more Indians are today using AI as a life coach without realizing that it's also a suicide coach. So in a scenario like this, we have to realize that AI is like the Rampuri knife. You can use the Rampuri knife for cutting vegetables or for murdering people, depending on what you want to do. I think the same analogy applies totally in the context of use of AI. But then trusting AI beyond reasonable human care and caution is something that we need to be consciously careful about. I need to make people aware of the fact that AI is not cyber secure. The very fact that I'm using AI is not equivalent to the fact that I'm in a cyber secure ecosystem. On the contrary, I'm using a data-hungry demon whose only job is to feed on as much data of mine as I can give, profile me, use the set data for training its algorithms further, and use the set data against my own self. No wonder these, at the time when these AI algorithms and the big tech companies have already propounded a new unwritten revolution of cognitive colonialism. It's time for countries to wake up. More and more people in India are becoming cognitive slaves of big tech companies, of big tech algorithms, without even finding the necessity to keep on exercising their cognitive faculties. So in a scenario like this, I think the first thing we need to wake up is, guys, AI is not secure. So if you think AI is equivalent to cybersecurity, please wake up from your deep slumber. With now Mythos coming in, it's a different ball game altogether. The day Mythos got launched, the same day it got unauthorizedly hacked by insiders.
Yeah.
Today we don't exactly know how many state and non-state actors have the copies, illegal copies of Mythos.
Yeah.
And the chances of AI being used for breaching cybersecurity is very, very high. Therefore, not only does India require a dedicated law on artificial intelligence, but people require appropriate capacity building on the need for inculcating cybersecurity and cyber hygiene methodologies and habits as part of their day-to-day life as they go forward. Otherwise, we are already getting sucked into this huge whirlpool. We don't know what the bottom of the whirlpool is. It's looking very nice because all my work is getting done without realizing that it's getting us to a stage of intellectual decay.
Yeah.
A stage where very quickly it'll be an existential question to humanity because AI will supersede the cumulative intelligence of humanity. So the need for building in guardrails, including guardrails for protecting and preserving the cybersecurity of computer systems and ensuring that state and non-state actors do not misuse AI for breaching the cybersecurity of critical information infrastructure becomes the burning need of today's times.
I absolutely agree, and it's a very complicated situation to resolve. I think countries across the globe, governments across the globe at this point of time are dealing with it, trying to crack it, make our systems more secure, from defense to energy. Educational systems are at this point of time trying to understand the scope of this technological revolution that has taken all over. But my moot question remains about the inconvenience, the stresses that the students have had to suffer because of this particular technical anomaly. I don't know if there were enough tests that were run. I don't know if the functionality of this digital system was verified, was checked, was double and triple checked. And of course, then the one big question that has been raised by the student after having apparently gone through these tenders of the discrepancies that he has found, these quote-unquote revisions and tweaks that were allegedly made by the CBSE to allow for the contract to be awarded to one particular company, which is already shrouded in mystery because of its previous tryst with a state government, Telangana state government, where a similar problem arose when this technological company could not check the answer sheets properly. That led to a lot of pain and grief for the students. I leave it at that. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.